Anyways, I've been traveling, and we're going to talk about that on a different day. Today, we're just talking sports. And the Detroit Lions, this just happened. The Detroit Lions have traded TJ Hockenson, the tight end, to the Minnesota Vikings for a second-round pick this year, a third-round pick next year, and they are giving the Vikings a fourth-round pick this year in a conditional if there's some kind of terms, maybe a fourth round next year. Now, I wrote an article, a blog, if you will. It's on the website, thekohlershow.com, on the Detroit Lions, the rebuild, the fans that piss me off. Since this has happened, the group chat, I am a Lions fan. If you're watching, shit's just going crazy in the sports world today. If you're watching the Lions logo in the background, I'm here for you, Lions fans, because I am one. I've always been one since day one, and we always suck. We're always not good, except for a few years with Stafford and Johnson and Sue, and we had a pretty good defense, and things were kind of rolling. Still never won a playoff game. But there's this loser Lions mentality that we get caught up in every year. Every year we get caught up in this loser. And it's this, I'm sorry, like the fans of Detroit are great, and I love you guys. The Lions sympathy. I don't know what you call it. It's just like this whiny Lions fan mentality where it's the same old Lions, when are we going to be done rebuilding? And I get it, but it's necessary for a team to get to where, if a team's not good, how are you going to be good other than a rebuild? There's no other way. There's no way that we're not on the beaches. We're not in LA. Players don't want to go play for us. It's not like there's no state income tax like in Dallas, and we don't have an owner like Dallas anyways. So I outlined in this blog, Sheila Ford Hamp took over the Detroit Lions ownership in June. I believe it was June or July of 2020. That's pretty recent. She fired Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, the GM and head coach, a few months after that. She hired Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes in January of 2021. It is currently November of 2022. So, the rebuild has been happening since January of last year. This isn't a crazy thing it's not crazy to be like, yeah, they do need more time. This was one of the worst rosters I've ever seen in my 20 plus years of watching football. Last year it was. This year, no. This year they should be better than they are, and we should evaluate where Dan Campbell is, but to just fire him right now is not the answer. Maybe after Thanksgiving, if he gets swashed by the Bills and we have still one win, yeah, fire him. I don't know who else you want to see as the interim head coach. You want to see AG because you guys hate AG. Ben Johnson, maybe. He just became an offensive coordinator last year. Deuce Staley, maybe. He's been around. I guess we could give him a shot, but I don't think anybody wants him to be the head coach. I think everybody's looking for this magic Bill Belichick hire that's not going to happen. So here's the thing, is everybody, every chat, every show, Woodward Sports, every fucking morning is going off on these rants about, same old Lions. We need to get rid of Campbell. We should have got rid of Campbell last year, and we should have fired AG in week 3, and we're already a team that people don't want to play for. And you think the answer is just to fire somebody every time the defense with already not that good of a team is not performing? You need, I know that patience is always like the fucking Detroit Lion heel that everybody fucking leans on, where it's, oh, you just got to be more patient with the rebuild. You got to move. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell might not be the answer. I admit that. And I would like to see it through at least the Thanksgiving Day game. And if it's a horrific Thanksgiving, fire him on Black Friday. I don't give a fuck. Because the team has not looked good. The team is not necessarily well built right now. They got pieces. But let's look at what the previous regime left them. Dan Quinn, I believe, was there for 5 years, and Matt Patricia was there for 3. Of those draft picks, who's still on the team? I think Taylor Decker, the tackle, who was a first-round pick. Good job. Frank Ragnow's a good center. Good job. Jonah Jackson, the guard. Good job. Tracy Walker, the safety, who's currently hurt, but good job. Other than that, past 5 drafts, we have 4 players on the team from. That's not ideal. Oh, I guess DeAndre Swift, too, who's always hurt. Who, I don't know, he might be traded by now. Let's check. Not yet. But he's a guy that he plays well when he's good, but when he's not good, which is most of the time, by the way, not a Brad Holmes draft pick. Now, when you look at Brad Holmes draft picks and what he's doing is building through the draft instead of going out and signing everybody for monster contracts, which doesn't work, which is that's the same old Lions. That's the same old Lions. Go out, spend fucking $90 million on Trey Flowers, spend fucking 40 on Jesse James. Why not? Let's throw another 27 at Justin Coleman or whatever those huge contracts were at those shit players who weren't even proven. $10 million for Nick Williams. Does anybody even know who Nick Williams is? And that's the same old Lions mentality. How's the Jaguars season doing? They threw a bunch of money at Shaq Griffin a couple years ago. How about Christian Kirk and all those other guys? I think Brandon Sheriff was one. They got a defense. Did they get a corner? They got a defensive tackle. That guy from the Jets. I don't know. Anyways, it's not working for them. All the good teams, the Eagles went through a rebuild just like this, where they drafted a bunch of people. And then they signed a few guys. They had a few building blocks, which we don't even have that. So can we chill, please, with the fire everybody every time something happens? I haven't even started about talking about the trade. Let's talk about the trade. TJ Hockenson traded to the Minnesota Vikings for a 2nd and 3rd round pick, and we gave up a 4th and potentially a 4th next year. TJ Hawkinson's a pretty good tight end. He's 25 years old. He was a 1st-round pick, top 10 pick by Bob Quinn. Sorry. He's a pretty good player when he shows up. He's on my fantasy football team. Let's look at TJ Hockenson performance here, because weeks 1 and 2, 4 catches, 38 yards, 3 catches, 26 yards, 3 catches, 18 yards. Those are all with Amon-Ra St. Brown playing, by the way, Brad Holmes draft pick. Let's go through Brad Holmes draft picks real quick. Penei Sewell, probably going to be he's an all-pro tackle. Levi Onwuzurike is kind of looking like a bust, but he has a back issue. He broke his back, spinal. So that's kind of a rough situation. Maybe he'll be back. We can call that a bust, though. 3rd round pick, I can't remember off the top of my head, but 4th round pick was Amon-Ra St. Brown, receiver. He looks like a Pro Bowler every year. He's one of the best slot receivers in the league. Here we go. Detroit Lions draft picks. Just can't come up with that 3rd round pick off the top of my head. And I'm trying to dig for it in there. And let's just go to the draft history here. Okay. Oh, Lee McNeil. How could I forget? One of our better interior defenders, our only good interior defender, some would say. Ifeatu Melifonwu, still developmental, not looking good, but okay, we can call him a bust too, even though I still think he has potential to be something. We saw that last year when he played. He was a pretty good outside corner. I think what they should have done at the beginning of the year is put Okuda at safety and move Melifonwu to that corner. It looks like that would be the best move anyways. That's what kind of is happening. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we already touched on. He's a good receiver. He's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. Derek Barnes is coming around. He's playing more this year. He looks all right. Jamar Jefferson, cut. So that was last year's draft. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starters out of that draft. And then you count Jerry Jacobs, kind of is going to be a starter on this team. He's an undrafted free agent. And so on there. This year's draft, Aiden Hutchinson looks like a stud. Leads rookies in quarterback pressures, 4.5, 5 sacks. Not much more you can ask for from literally the only pass rusher on the team. Jamison Williams hasn't played, which, again, if this isn't a rebuild, then why did we draft a receiver with the 12th overall pick who has a torn ACL in fucking February of that, or I guess it would have been January of that year, knowing that he might not play, and he hasn't played, but he is fast. Josh Paschal, who had a hernia and missed a couple games, but is back and is playing almost every snap the past 2 games. He looks really good and a guy you can move across the line. Kirby Joseph in the 3rd round. Safety, who's looking really, really good. High Pro Football Focus grades. One of the best graded players on the defense, which isn't saying much, but it is saying something. He is tall. He is fast. He's coming around. We just traded TJ Hockenson, 5th round pick. James Mitchell caught a pass last week, first catch. Maybe they see something out of him. Another guy with the torn ACL who's coming back. Who knows? Malcolm Rodrigo, hit star of the fucking Hard Knocks. Tackling machine. Still a lot to learn, but he's getting a lot of playing time, even though it's kind of fluctuating now as we get into the season. Derek Barnes is playing more. I'd like to see Rodrigo and Barnes out there, even though they're smaller linebackers. He's a stud against the rush. He played safety in college his first 3 years, so he should be okay against the pass. I don't know what's going on there, but maybe we can get – he's going to develop. He looks like a starting linebacker. James Houston, 6th round pick, which, again, you're not expecting a lot of 6th and 7th round picks. James Houston, 6th round picks on the practice squad, developmental player. Chase Lucas is a scratch usually most weeks at corner. He looks like kind of like a slot corner, but a guy that could stick on the roster. So that's not bad. Now, if we go into this year's draft, we now have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, possibly a compensatory 4th-round pick. So that's 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, which is where you want players. It's looking like we're going to have pretty high ones, too. Trade deadline's not done. We'll see what happens there. But with 2 high draft picks, I don't know. I kind of like going after, if there's a quarterback we really like, go get a quarterback. If not, there's plenty of defensive players. Stack the defense. Sign some players. We're going to have a fuck ton of cap space. Here's where we are cap space-wise. Let's go through cap space now, even before we hit TJ Hockenson. We went over the draft. Here's the salary cap situation. Currently, Jared Goff, costing $30 million in cap space, is about 15% of the cap. If we cut him next year, trade him in the offseason, that would be $20 million saved with $10 million dead space. Now, Taylor Decker has a $14 million contract, which we could move today, possibly, and move Penei Sewell left tackle. Jeff Okuda, I think we do pick up the fifth-year option on him. He looks really good this year. And maybe sign an extension. He's at $9 million right now. But after that, Ragnow, Brockers is a $10 million. We can save a ton of money by cutting Brockers, who isn't even really playing. And then we're into our first-round picks from this year, for these past couple of years. Hutchinson, Sewell, Jamal Williams is gone. We can cut Charles Harris, who isn't even playing, by the way. Will Harris is gone. Oruwariye, who doesn't look that good this year for some reason, is gone probably. I'd like to see him turn it around. He shows promise. He's a big, long corner. He had 6 picks last year. I don't understand. Swift, I wouldn't mind trading. He's never healthy. Hughes is gone. Anzalone's gone. Evan Brown, I'd like to see re-signed. What else is there? Vaitai, we should cut. That's another $10 million. Romeo Quara hasn't played yet. That's another $14 million. So we got a ton of money, and we have a team right now with a lot of young players playing. So the cat moves are coming. Chark's been kind of a bust. He looked good that first game. I don't understand why they started going away from him. Then all of a sudden he was hurt. It is what it is. And Bradley Chubb just got traded to the Dolphins. Okay. So yeah, that's where we are draft and cap wise. We're in the best spot cap wise, and then one of the better spots draft wise. So we have that's the assets we want. Now TJ Hockenson, who the group chat is going off about how bad this trade is. And if we go back to TJ Hockenson, while Amon Rant Ross St. Brown is healthy, 4 catches, 38 yards, 3 catches, 26 yards, 3 catches, 18 yards, and a touchdown. 1 catch for 6 yards, 4 catches for 48 yards. This week he had 3 catches for 80 yards. 60 of those were on 1 catch. So he is a good player. When St. Brown was not there, he had that huge 8-catch, 179-yard, 2 touchdown game. That game was just crazy points with Seattle. So he is a good player, but you should never draft a tight end in the first round. And here's why. Here's the last tight ends drafted in the first round. Kyle Pitts, pick number 4. What's he doing this year? He's a generational talent, but he's not doing anything, despite being on a Falcons offense who has one other receiver and no running back. Tyler Algier is their running back. Noah Fant, the other tight end drafted with TJ Hockenson, he's already been traded for Russell Wilson amongst other picks. TJ Hockenson, gone, pick number 8. Hayden Hurst, pick number 25. He wasn't picked up again by the Ravens. So, again, Njoku, pick number 29. Was he worth it for the Browns? I don't think so. Evan Ingram, pick number 23 by the Giants. Already gone in Jacksonville and having an okay season. O.J. Howard, pick 19, almost non-existent as a player. Eric Ebron, pick 10, one of the worst draft picks of all time in Detroit Lions history. Tyler Eifert, pick 21, had one really good season. I had him on my fantasy team. He had 13 touchdowns, but his career fluttered out. Jermaine Gresham, pick 21 by the Bengals. That was 3 years earlier, and then Brandon Pettigrew, and so on. So tight end's not a draft, not a something you should be drafting in the first round. And with his extension coming up, are we really going to pay him $20 million a year? I think it's better to get a second and a third round pick out of a player who barely contributes when your other players are healthy anyways. James Mitchell, I think, can fill in for 1 catch for 18 yards or 3 catches for 36 yards. Him and Brock Wright should be able to combine for that. So I don't see why is everybody crying? Do you want to rebuild or do you not want to rebuild? Because you want us to be good and you want everybody to be like, you just expect them to just win. But also, if the team tries to make moves to get better, you also don't like that because then we're giving up players that you like. Do you like them? Is that what that is? Like, why do you want them if you don't like them? And then why don't you want to give them up if you think we suck? Do you think if we just get a new coach, then everything will be fixed? Do you think if we just bring back Jim Caldwell, then we will be a Super Bowl contender? Because that's not true. Jared Goff is not good. You guys keep saying Jared Goff is good. He is not good. He is good enough to get your team through a season. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl. He had Sean McVay calling plays when he did get to the Super Bowl, and they got skunked by the Patriots. He's a turnover machine. He has tiny hands. He fumbles the ball. He throws pick sixes. We lost the past 3 games basically because of him. Now, also, you could say, yeah, we didn't make adjustments and all that, which is true. And I don't have any issue with Jared Goff, really, but I don't think he's the future of the Detroit Lions. So we should trade him too. I hope I get a notification that Jared Goff's gone. We need a quarterback, and we need to build up the defense more. But Lions fans need to stop this crybaby pee pants approach to the league, where you just think that if we just fire our coaches and get new ones, that it's just gonna improve. We're at a year and a half into the rebuild. A year and a half. We've been rebuilding. We've only won one playoff game since 1991. Yeah, but you got to separate it. It's not just we've been rebuilding since 1991. We had a pretty good team with Matt Stafford. We had to get rid of him because it was a smart thing to do after Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn put this roster into the dirt. And now we're building through the draft, and you guys aren't happy about that. You guys want them to go spend all the money on all these players that we don't have. We had a shitty cap space situation, which they are clearing up, and we had a shitty roster with shitty players who are now being filtered out for these new draft picks who are actually contributing. I don't understand what Detroit Lions fans want. And it's so frustrating being one, trying to be the guy. And I know that there are some people that are like, this is the year we win the Super Bowl. Nobody ever said that about this year except for Ryan Armani on Woodward Sports. He said we would win like 12 games or something, which is insanity. Nobody should have thought that. I thought 7 games this year would be a great season. That's not a lot. Now we're at 1 game 8 weeks through the season. That's not good either. So we have, 10 games left? Give me 1 second to find how many games left we have. It's frustrating. Packers, Bears, Giants, Bills, Jags, Vikings, Jets, Panthers, Bears, Packers. 10 games left. We have 1 win. Again, I'm not fully sold on Dan Campbell still. If we need to get rid of him, the Bills are 11-24. That's 4 weeks. So we have 4 weeks to get our shit together, and if we win, I think we can very well win Packers, Bears, and Giants. All those are winnable games. Giants, in my opinion, are overrated. I'm sorry this whole rant's have been about the Detroit Lions, but this is one of the most frustrating things I go through in my day-to-day life. I've even muted my group chats because of it, because it's just so annoying to listen to people cry baby about this. I have a friend named Carl, and he just there's no solution. It's just no matter what the Lions do, he's just mad. He's just sad that we suck. And he's just constantly complaining about a rebuild that's been going on for 30 years. And the rebuild started January of 2021. Okay. So we have picks. Maybe we can get more. I hope we get more. I don't care about the season. Doesn't matter anymore to me. It never really did. I just wanted to see improvement, and there is improvement, and there are good players on this team who are young. We're the youngest team in the league. Frick. So one more time for the people in the back. Please chill out with the fucking Lions. Jesus, Moses, and God. It takes more than an off season or two to get this thing together. And you know what? Maybe Brad Holmes bombs on all these picks and I'm wrong. But at least I'm giving them a chance. You're not even giving them a chance. You just took what Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia did and said, that's something to go off of. It was nothing to go off of. And stop giving me, who was it? The Seahawks and the Giants and the Jets. Those are not Super Bowl contending teams. Those are improved teams. They're not that good. They're leaning on players that are going to collapse at some point. It's already happening with both of them. The Seahawks might have something. I don't know what happened with Geno Smith, but all of a sudden he's good. And they are in a very good draft position. The Eagles are in a very good draft position. But why aren't we talking about teams like the Raiders who went all out? The Buccaneers who went all out? The Jaguars who went all out? Panthers already fired their coach. They at least gave him 3 years. I would be okay if we did that. Texans suck. Everybody knows that. Steelers. People were talking about the Steelers being a playoff team. Not me, but people were. The Bears are coming back down to earth. The Packers are underperforming. Why aren't we talking about the Packers? Why aren't we talking about the Colts who are underperforming? Why aren't we talking about the Bengals who are underperforming? Patriots have the best coach in NFL history. Why aren't we talking about them? I don't know. I don't know, man. Different things happen for different teams. Maybe Dan Campbell isn't the right coach. I don't think he's looking like the right coach, but please shut the fuck up about this was supposed to be some grand season. It's a hard team to watch. It always has been. And the only way it's going to turn around is if we get behind these guys, if we start looking at these moves objectively and just know that they're at least putting themselves in a position to make the right decisions. Because in the past, we weren't even in the position to make a good decision, which is so much more frustrating. At least having cap space and having draft picks and having young players that want to play is better than having 4 high-priced free agents, a washed-up quarterback, money put into like guards who never play, and we're in such a better place. Please shut the fuck up. Thank you. That was my speech on the Lions. We'll talk about other teams in the future. I just had to get that off my chest. My TJ Hockenson rant. Good luck to him in Minnesota. I like the player. We should never spend a first-round pick on a player, on a tight end again. Please no. I hated it with Pettigrew. I hated it with Ebron. I didn't like it with Hockenson. I really wanted Josh Allen. Josh Allen was already gone. Josh Allen, the linebacker. Look at the best tight ends in the league right now. Kelsey was a 3rd-round pick. Mark Andrews was a 3rd-round pick. George Kittle was a 5th-round pick. Darren Waller went through a whole bunch of shit. He was a drug addict, came back. I mean, all these guys have had better seasons than TJ Hockenson. Dalton Schultz, I believe he was a 2nd or 3rd-round pick. Okay. Hawkinson's gone. Good luck to him.